Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and I am very, very excited for this video. So the time has come. We have been waiting eagerly ever since Omens of Destruction released to see what would be the next DLC for Total War Warhammer, in addition to just hearing more news about what's going on over at Creative Assembly, and it's here. The next What's Next video has arrived from Creative Assembly, where they sit down with the devs and we get to learn a little bit about the process and what's going on behind the curtain and stuff over at Creative Assembly, and we also get to learn a little bit about what's coming next. So obviously we know that it is a Slaanesh DLC, but there's been a lot of hemming and hawing about exactly what is going to be in it. The last time they did this with Omens of Destruction, they revealed quite a bit, so I'm really looking forward to this. Last time if memory serves, I believe they revealed all 3 Legendary Lords, or at least the factions. I want to say they revealed the Legendary Lords as well. So, who's to say what's going to be in this one? I, of course, do have some prediction videos that I've put up over on my channel, which is where you are right now. I'm used to saying that because I work with Andy so much. But, so if you'd like, feel free to go check those out and see how I do versus what they revealed today. I think if I had to pick 3, my go-to, like the ones that I am like laser focused on, is Dechala the Denied for Slaanesh, Sea Lord Island for the High Elves, and Muna Mem for the Norska. I don't think that's, I feel like that one's a long shot. I acknowledge that. If you had a gun to my head, I'd probably say Sail the Faithless for Norska rather than Muna Mem, even though I desperately want Muna Mem. But I'm also willing to accept Ramhotep the Visionary for Tomb Kings. So that's like my little ballpark. But I'm really excited to get into it. Let's see what they have on offer for us. And I do apologize for the little weird blue screenness going on behind me. I am transitioning some things in my office, and Sadie destroyed part of the blue screen, so it's a thing. And I also have a new camera, so I'm kind of adjusting settings and stuff, so there's transitions happening here. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Coleman, Senior Community Manager on Total War, and once again I'm joined by some of our wonderful Warhammer 3 dev team to talk a little bit
Steve's beard
about
is so beautiful.
patches,
It's
betas,
so beautiful.
and a little bit more. I am joined by Will, and I am also joined, through the magic of magic, Vasil and Radoslav from our Sofia studio in Bulgaria.
Oh, Sofia, cool.
So let's do a quick introductions. Will, let's start with you. If you just tell us who you are, what you do, and some things you've worked on.
Righto. I'm William Hockstad, and I'm a Warhammer 3 DLC designer.
Okay.
I worked at the company for 5-6 years roughly, working on mostly mainline DLC for Warhammer 3.
Very cool, very
recently, my focus has been primarily on our patching efforts, the interim content, the .x patches, 5.3, 5.2,
excellent.
6.1,
those have been
which is
very good
in your hands by now, and making those extra bits of content to tide you over while you wait for our more major releases.
Awesome, thank you, Will. And now I'll throw over to Sophia. Vasil, how about you?
Hey, so my name is Vasil, and I've been working as a lead DLC designer over Warhammer DLC projects.
Cool.
And
cool.
I've been with CA for a while now, for a few years back, and I'm very excited to join the Warhammer team.
I will say,
you.
having the
And
Sofia
Rado,
team
how
on
about
Total
you?
War Warhammer now is
Yes,
huge.
hello, my name is Radoslav. I'm a principal tech designer working on Total War. I've recently joined the DLC team after finishing up with Total War Pharaoh, and now I'm working with...
Okay, I'm going to pause and go. So if you're like, oh, shut up, man, you go watch it yourself, come back. Go watch it by yourself, and then come back to this. I had heard whispers, and I'd heard some talk that a lot of the Sofia team, especially from the people that were working on Pharaoh and other projects, pretty much all got pulled in for Warhammer. Mainly due to everything that happened with Hyena, and a lot of potential projects got canceled, so we're seeing more consolidation, which I think in this, for Warhammer's sake, is a very, very good thing. But let's see what they have to say.
Various people on both patching efforts and DLC efforts.
Great, thank you guys, and thank you for joining us today. But for now, I'm going to send you back into the ether.
No, not back to the... Oh.
Impressive.
It worked! Oh no, they're still there!
Just put the camera off.
We'll come back to you in a little bit. We're just going to chat with Will about the patches.
I love that they're just making them sit there
has just
quietly.
recently dropped for Warhammer 3, bringing with it some refreshes for Kislev, Tzeentch, and Grand Cathay.
Good.
Well
All
as
good?
some new units, because everybody loves free stuff. And the usual bug fixes and tweaks to the core game that always come with these patches. So what's your approach to these patches at the moment? So how are you figuring out what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it?
So right now, kind of the core of our strategy is something new to chew on. A new extra gubbin attached to something that already exists to give you a little bit more to play with. And how we arrive at what to do is primarily something that we figure out through the help of the PX team. That's the player experience team.
Oh, okay.
Whose job it is to go through all those conversations everywhere out there and distill that down into something digestible for us in design to read and go, we think we can solve this problem that lots of people are having. Or we see that a lot of people are happy about this thing and want to see more of it, or unhappy about this thing and want to see it improved. And those help inform us in a very
gotta complain in the right
way.
places.
Instead of, we can't just always go in our guts. We need some hard data, and PX are the perfect team for providing that to us.
Awesome. So the things that have come in the past, and in like 5.1, 5.2, etc., as well as 6.1, has that all come through from the PX team? Has that all been based on the feedback that they've gathered for you, or do you often find things out in the wild world yourselves?
There's a couple things. We take things to PX as well, because we're all people, and we see things, we read about our own game. I mean, you can't prevent yourself from going on your own forums at some point. And when we see something that really jumps out to us, we like to sneakily go to PX and go, hey, do you have any more info on this? Because I might have an idea. And some of the things have come from our side of the pond as well on that front. I think, for example, the Deeps was very much a Mitch led. This was something he was excited about. This was something he really wanted to do.
Good old
Mitch. We
Mitch.
funnel it through the appropriate channels anyway. There's a process to everything.
Awesome. Looking forward, now that 6.1 is out there, is there anything you guys have already got planned for 6.2, or anything else that you're
That would be
looking
nice
at
to hear.
for future?
I will say,
So
so
at
I'm
the
going to interrupt
moment-
him real quick, that I think for me, if I could pick anything, I would love, before he gets into it, I would really love another update to the unusual locations list. So we have a good number of unusual locations, but we just kind of have that first initial group of it. I'd really love to see one that's more focused on the New World, and another one focused more on the Orient, and so Grand Cathay, Mountains of Morn, Darklands type area. As I noticed that when I play, if you play an old world faction, you tend to get quite a few of them, and it feels really good. And I like having lots of them. But if you play in other parts of the world, it's rare that you'll kind of get a hit off. And I would very, very, very much like to see them expand that list, because I think the unusual locations are fantastic. I'd also like to see them finish. I remember a little bit ago they were going to do a pretty major overhaul of all the ancillaries, and when they say ancillaries, they mean magic items and ancillaries. So I'd love to see an overhaul of that system to balance out, more of the items and ancillaries, to make sure they're all good, they're all interesting, make sure all of them work, make sure all of them can be triggered. In that vein, I'd also love to see ruins be made more interesting. I really miss being able to interact with ruins. You can't do anything with them now, and I hate that so much. In Warhammer 1, we had the dilemma system, and in Warhammer 2, we had the puzzles of the old ones. So I don't care what it is, but I would really like to see them add a reason to search ruins that gives you a little something. So you have just another way to obtain things like items and such. I'd also like to see a rework when it comes to the ancillary stuff. I'd love to see them tweak how combining items works. I personally find the current system of fusing items to be very frustrating, because it's completely random what you get, where I don't think it should be completely random. I think it should be that because you can't just combine any two items of the same rarity. You have to combine two items of the same rarity of the same type. So it's got to be like 2 gray enchanted items or 2 green arcane items. So one thing that I personally would really love to see is I think it should be changed where if you combine an item, you should either have the option to make it completely random, so you just get a random item of a higher rarity, or you should be able to get a guaranteed type of item. So if I combine 2 gray arcane items, I think it should be a choice, because I think that'd be reasonable. It should either be like it is now, where it gives me a random green, or if I choose, it should give me a guaranteed green arcane item. Now, which arcane item it is should still be random, but I know I find it really frustrating, because to me it really feels like the game doesn't have all of the available items as possible to get through that system, because I feel like I get the same items over and over and over again. I don't know how many goddamn obsidian lodestones I've gotten by combining items, but yeah, I think a rework of those systems would be really, really nice. But it'd also be good to see like a siege rework. Not that like doing it from the ground up, but like really going in and tackling a lot of the fundamental issues, getting rid of ladders, making gates impossible to attack unless you have like a battering ram or something with a siege attacker trait. Maybe adding in more things to do in a siege, so like add in boiling oil or add in special army abilities for different factions. Like it doesn't have to be like full crazy insane overhauls, but it'd be nice to see little pieces to those various systems. But anyway, let's see what they talk about.
Of course, seeing as this is being recorded before the release of 6.1, it's a little bit early to say exactly what we're doing in 6.2. We're still in the ideation phase on that. I can talk some broad strokes, though. Up until this point, we've been thinking a lot about what little extra gubbins can we add for you. But for 6.2, what we'd like to do is take that focus and bring it down to what core game system can we do some improvements for.
Mm-hmm.
And some examples of what we think about when we say that
Siege?
is things like, can we improve the situation around ancillaries for everyone?
Okay,
this is something that
cool.
we originally wanted to do in 5.3, but
right.
we weren't happy enough with the result to put that out there yet. Some other things that are hot topics,
that'd be good,
especially because this is something that the PX team have been telling us about, is people are talking a lot about control. People are talking a lot about corruption, and there's a lot of strong opinions on that.
Yeah,
and
those
that
are
is something
those
that
are big.
we are considering right now. I think the way I'm going to frame this is, it is too early for us to say exactly how we'll approach it, because it's a very volatile space. It's a big core system shared with all the factions in the game, and we have a lot of ideas. We know, for example, that when we moved to Warhammer 3, we changed corruption entirely from the system where it was a percentage division inside the province to having this more tabulated, you have a set specific discrete number that can go to 100. And we did that originally because we had this consistent complaint of people who really don't like it when they can't remove all the corruption in the province. They really like to wipe the slate clean, have no corruption. But now we have a different problem where
it's too easy.
A bit of corruption can really snowball to 0 or to 100 very easily.
Yeah.
And that's something that's a topic where we're having a lot of discussions on this, whether how do we solve this? Do we want to solve this? And that's why I think it's a bit too early to give specifics, but these are the kinds of topics we're talking about right now. And
I know, I'll interrupt and very briefly say, I know that for me, I would love corruption to feel like it matters more, as like they've done some really good stuff where I think corruption is coming a really long way. The fact that it gives you like buffs specific to your faction if you use corruption, where like vampire counts and demons have a higher chance of coming back after dying in a battle. I think that's fantastic. You know, attrition is fine, but like for me, the big thing, especially when it comes to control, but let me stay focused on corruption. For corruption, one of the things that I would really love to see is more thematic consequences to corruption being against you. So like if I'm playing a non-vampire faction and I'm getting way too much vampire corruption, I would really like for that to have like, oh, it has a good chance to trigger events, or it'll spawn like specific kinds of armies, like almost spawning more like a rogue army instead of a rebellion. Because the rebellions they're just not good the vast majority of the time. Rebellions feel like they're very weak, and the AI is able to deal with them so effortlessly that it just feels pointless. And it's like, I'd like it a lot more if maybe like it caused like a unique event in the province, or it could cause like a very special type of army to spawn. That way it'd be so much more meaningful for it to be like, oh man, you've got way too much corruption, bad shit's going down here, instead of it just being, oh well, there's gonna be a rebellion. And granted, a part of that could just be that the rebellion system needs tweaking, like making rebellions actually threatening and something you want to avoid, not something you want to farm, or something that you can just kind of like, whatever, I built a garrison, who cares. I think all of those would be really, really nice. But the big thing for me would be like thematic things happening. Like, oh, if I let corn corruption get too high, then why not do a thing where like a portal spawns, like from the Realm of Chaos campaign? Like, oh, a corn portal spawns and armies will keep pouring out of it until I go close the portal. So I have to like build up an army and send them out there to go fight at this portal, and it's like a big ugly fight. And it's like, that can be okay if you're ready for it, but it could also be like really spooky. Or, you know, if it's like the undead, if you have too much undead corruption, making it something where, something that I think would be really cool is if you have like a bunch of vampiric corruption, making it where maybe all of the dead that have died, you know how if you have a big fight, it leaves behind like the little battlefield markers where it's like, oh, 5,000 people died here. Like the game tracks how many like corpses are in a province, right? One thing that could be really cool is if the vampiric corruption gets too high, what if you own territory and you're not a vampiric faction, so you're not Vampire Counts or Vampire Coast, it could be something like the dead get up. So an army spawns based on how many corpses there are, and the more corpses they are, the more powerful the army is. And it spawns as like a army, so it's like kind of like a rebellion, but it's specifically an undead army that has like all kinds of crazy units based on how many corpses there are. So there's like different thresholds, and it spawns with like a more powerful army depending on how many corpses there are. Like just fun, interesting stuff. You know, if Skaven corruption, making it where like if the Skaven corruption is too high, the AI will automatically spawn undercities that are under the control of like a random Skaven faction. Or if you're a player and you're playing like, and you know that, and that could be worked for the players as well. Like if you're Vampire Counts and you're spreading vampiric corruption into the AI territory, well, the dead will get up and attack them, and you can take advantage of it. If you're playing as Skaven, there's a chance when there's too much Skaven corruption that an Undercity will spawn under your control. You know, I think just fun little things like that could be so much more interesting. You know, if you're playing Chaos and corruption gets too high in an area, a portal spawns and, you know, armies come out that you're able to, maybe they're, you know, you can take advantage of the chaos that comes from that. Just things that make me go, oh yeah, I want to have corruption spreading ahead of me so that it's doing things to the enemy. It's taking away resources, it's distracting their armies, it's burning down cities. Or if I'm playing a non-corruptive faction, going, I need to make absolutely goddamn sure I keep this corruption under control so bad things aren't happening. And then for control, control, it's been getting better, and Kislev is great. So I think just making control more interesting is something they can absolutely do, where being more heavily incentivized to ensure that you have high control is always great. But for me, the important thing there is you need to make control matter to the AI. That's the thing that just gets under my skin, is that if you're playing on very hard or legendary, the AI does not care about control. And it doesn't matter like how much you sack their territory or how many agents you send in with like control modifiers, they will just never care. And that's got to change.
I don't think we can put anything out there until we're quite happy with it, because it's such a core system. So we're going to have to be really sure about this one.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. No, that's a good approach. I don't know where you'll obviously be in your thought process for this, but maybe this will prompt people to give us a bit more feedback on that specific topic,
Like
and
I
maybe we'll get
just
some valuable
did.
stuff out of it from there. So we'll have to wait and see. People may recognize your name from the 6.1 dev blog that went out just before 6.1.
Oh,
so
wait, is
you
he?
did a lot of work on
Wait,
that,
is he the artist?
including the fantastic unit card placeholder, which was artistic.
It's the goat. He's the goat.
I can't think of the word, Will, but you know,
It's a crime.
it was artistic crimes.
Crime, I think is the word.
That
Fair
art
enough.
is so good. That art
I'm
is
very disappointed that
fantastic.
they didn't make it into the patch. That aside,
I love that
are there
art.
any kind of highlights from 6.1 or things that you particularly are proud of that you'd want to talk about?
I think, yeah. So when we were concepting a lot of the work for 6.1, there was definitely one feature, I think, above all else, that kind of really got the mental juices flowing. It was when we were talking about how do we do atomins. And atomins,
I love the
of
Atomins,
course,
dude.
are
Atomins
these
are, I think,
provincial
one of the
governors, and
best
so they're meant
features they've
to
added in a long time.
emphasize the power of interior Kislev. And as we went through a lot of different
I think the
variations on
Atomins are
what can an Ataman do,
fantastic.
we came to this idea of what if an Ataman lets you take a settlement, left-click it, and then right-click an enemy army nearby and have the settlement attack the army. And this idea of having a settlement attack an army instead of an army attack a settlement, which is the usual Total War flow, just immediately everyone who was talking about this, eyes up. Like, that's an interesting idea. That's fun. And
Yeah,
the
I
moment
love
we
that
knew
feature.
we had that, we
That
couldn't
feature is
stop chasing that
fantastic.
dream, essentially. And it's a big technical challenge to achieve, but it was simply too interesting for us to let it go once we caught on to
I'm
that
really
idea.
glad they pulled that off.
Thanks, Will. That's really awesome. From one round of big changes with the refreshes from 6.1 and the future in 6.2, to another side that we're actually working on, which is campaign AI changes. Now, we've
beta.
just recently run a beta on Steam.
I did not get to play
which
it.
has actually just finished. We're looking at the feedback now. We have another one that's going to be coming up in the near future.
Oh, that's good.
And
Okay.
this has been headed up by Rado in Sofia. So I'm just going to bring him back. I didn't even have to click my fingers. I'm that good.
You didn't snap fast enough. You didn't
But
snap
yes,
fast enough.
Radoslav here has been heading up the project for this campaign AI beta. We've just finished one of the rounds of the beta and are looking at the feedback at the moment. And we do have another round coming in.
If you played the beta, I would love to know your thoughts. Like if you're like just listening and want to type something up, which would be very appreciated. I would love for you guys to leave feedback comments. Please let me know how the beta was and if there was anything about it that really stuck out to you. Apparently some people loved it. Like I won't say who it was, but I like in the content creator room space, I saw one of my compatriots being like, "Where's the beta? Where's the beta?" when it got taken down. He seemed very sad. So I was like, "Oh, that seems to say it's coming along pretty
In the
nicely."
future, so if you missed out on the first one, don't fret. There will be another opportunity to try out some of these changes. So, Rado, for those who haven't actually seen much about this campaign AI beta yet, what is this initiative? What's the kind of top level of what you are looking to do here?
So the main goal of the beta this time around is to present the community with our latest efforts in addressing some of the more prevalent feedback around the campaign AI. Most of the changes are centered around the AI's passivity, and since the AI is a very fundamental part of the game and it feeds into a lot of different things like game difficulty and so on, we decided to kind of approach it a bit more cautiously, and we decided to go with the beta branch to not suddenly introduce this massive of a change to all users.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good. A really good way to let the players kind of have their say, I suppose, in this process. Are there any highlights or any particular things within that beta that you want to call out that you're particularly excited about or proud of?
So the highlight change of this beta has to do with the campaign AI's ability to recognize when it's being threatened by foreign forces. We discovered a rather fundamental issue with the way AI just looks at the world.
The hero thing.
And we found out that one of the rather fundamental assumptions of the AI around when it's being invaded and when hostile forces are present in its territory was just kind of wrong. And the AI was finding itself in situations where it thought it was being assaulted by enemy forces, when in reality, all that was happening was foreign agents were just making incursions into the AI's territory, which caused it to...
Fixing this has had a noticeable impact on the game, in my opinion.
Prioritizing, consolidating its forces, making sure all its settlements are garrisoned, and this really robbed it of opportunities to, be aggressive and, do other things in the game. So, like, resolving this issue has been a real standout for us.
Awesome. Can
I like his
people
accent.
expect quite a kind of big difference in how things play out as a result of this beta?
Generally, the overall AI's behavior isn't that different. This tackles a particular set of circumstances where the AI really just completely focuses on defense, but the frequency of this behavior can vary wildly between campaigns. So I expect that in certain playthroughs, like, players will notice a very big difference, and in other playthroughs the difference might not be so
I mean, I've
large.
noticed the AI isn't
This is something that
stacking like
we've,
30
struggled
armies
with a
in
lot in the
every
past
capital
when it
city.
comes to working with the AI is there's such a huge variance in events, whether depending on what the player is doing, depending on what the hundreds of other factions are doing, and the AI's decision making is very complex and layered. So it's
Will's
easy
blinking
to,
so much. He's so nervous. He's so
or rather,
he's
it's
adorable.
difficult
He's
to
adorable. I like him. I
find
love him.
high-level trends quickly without lots and lots of games being played. And that's one of the great roles of something like the beta, is letting us get lots of information distilled down into a real player experience.
Awesome. That's really good.
I'm
to
glad
get that
CA is
insight
using
into it, really.
betas more.
So for the people at home
often.
who may or may not have already been on the last beta and are hoping to get in on the next beta, what can the players do to help support you guys in this initiative?
Yes, please.
Frankly, the best way anyone in the community can help us out is just tell us your honest feelings. This is the most important thing for us. We understand that there might be further issues. There are,
Tell them nicely.
many different combinations of difficulty levels and legendary logs that you can play. So no feedback is, worth more or less. Just being open and honest with how you feel about the game is the best thing for us, because it really allows us to understand how you feel, understand what really bothers you, what can we improve. That's the biggest focus for us.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Rado, for all that insight into that.
Excellent.
So, yep, like we said, there will be another beta starting soon if you did miss out on the first round. So don't fret. Just keep an eye out for more information on that.
I'll play the hell out of
in the near future. Now let's move on to another topic of discussion, which I'm sure a lot of you are going to be very excited to hear about, which of course is what's next for Total War Warhammer 3 DLC.
What you got?
So just like our previous DLCs that we've put out over the last couple of years, this will be another 3 Lord pack.
Good.
But we're going to do things a bit differently now. We're not going to bombard you with all of this information, punch you in the face with it straight away with all of that info.
No!
So today we're going to reveal the first of the 3 factions.
Steve, no!
And Vasil's going to help me with that. So Vasil, what can you tell us about what's next for Total War?
Okay, so we're going to learn about
DLC?
one faction.
Actually, I'd be quite interested seeing people guess this online and observe their excitement as much as we're excited to develop it and later
Dechala,
on release
Iceland,
this DLC.
Munimim. Dechala, Iceland, Munimim. Dechala, Iceland,
For the
Munimim.
next DLC, we've prepared, as you mentioned, 3 legendary lords and also 1
I
free
can't cross my
legendary lord.
fingers.
And the first one that we're going to reveal today is Dechala.
Yes!
Just a quick note. We mispronounced Decala's name throughout the rest of our interview. So instead of Dechala, please imagine we are saying Dechala. On with the show. Okay.
Fuck! Yes! It is. I'm recording this. I'm releasing this at the same time this video comes out. So you know the drill. But it's very late, so I can't scream because if I make too much noise, I will wake up people who have to go to work in the morning like normal human beings. But I'll say, in the immortal words of my dear comrade, Chapter Master Valrak, Vindication! Vindication! Okay, let's see if they... Oh, man, please show her.
So
Please
Dechala
show
for
her.
Slaanesh. That's our first legendary lord for the next DLC.
What was that?
Dechala, please imagine we are saying Dechala.
Watch over Steve's
On with the
head.
show. Okay, so Dechala for Slaanesh. That's our first legendary lord for the next DLC. What can you tell us about her? Who is she and how does she play?
Dechala.
Yeah, so she's shrouded in mystery a
Dechala
little bit.
leading
She
the
has been marked
Tormentors.
by Slaanesh, leaving her severely mutated, shedding her previous form. With her being
black and white
right
art.
now a snake-like creature with many arms, and in each one holding a deadly sword.
Okay, so
giving
they're going with
devastation
the
across
classic
battlefield.
design.
She's gonna play much of the theme of Slaanesh,
dude!
speed and damage and destruction.
Holy shit! She looks amazing! Oh my god, dude! Oh, look at her art, dude. Look at her. Oh my god, look at her face. When her skin stretches open to bring her fangs out. Oh my gosh, she looks so good. Bro, taking that artwork and making this out of it is impressive. This is the first time Dechala has had a facelift since she was created. Her mini is so ugly, and her artwork is it's not my favorite. Interesting. She's not as big as I expected her to be. So we see here, this is like a normal human. So she's a little tiny bit. So she's kind of like vaguely Azazel sized. Oh my gosh, she looks so good, dude. Oh, so many arms. So many arms.
So she's going to be able to quickly get in and out of battle, leaving
swords look good
and devastation behind
I was
her.
kind of hoping she'd have like a bow.
Able to
Whoa!
on the battlefield very efficiently.
Oh my god, she's
sense,
terrifying
very versatile and deadly warrior.
Interesting.
Look how long she is. Look how freakishly long her tail is on both sides of the screen. Oh, I just realized that my blue screen is moved. Whatever, just ignore that. Like I said, it's broken, so I'm getting a new one sent in soon. But oh, her mutations look fantastic. She's got the big snake body. She's got like spikes coming out of her arms. She's got all these extra arms. She's got like scales, and like you could see how the scales like evolve into flesh coming off this part of her body, and like her mouth opens way too wide. She's got those freaky ass piercing eyes. She looks amazing. She's also like kind of gorgeous. Like, man, I don't know what happened, but when we got into Warhammer 3 specifically, Creative Assembly just figured out how to make gorgeous women facial models. Like, if you go back to like Warhammer 1 and 2, they're meh. You know, like Alariel is okay, but like the prophetesses and the damsels are like, ugh. Like the Fanchantress is alright. But like Dechala, like she's gorgeous, but also like fucking horrifying.
Interesting stuff. Can you give us a bit of insight into maybe a couple of units that will be coming in her roster?
Please.
Maybe how
Basilisk.
they fit into the
Come
lore
on,
there.
Basilisk.
As always, I think I'll keep the most interesting things for myself for now.
No.
But I can share a few units of the Slaanesh roster. One of the units, it's called the Champion of Slaanesh. The Champion of Slaanesh looks very much like Dechala.
Shit!
He is
You can see he's like an imperial
creature.
Oh my god! Oh my. Okay, so this is the exalted hero, the exalted champion. So wow, this is literally just the exalted champion tabletop model. I love. You can tell he was like he almost has like the weird imperial noble, clothing. Oh, he looks so good. The forearms and the snake body. I wonder how this is gonna work with a mount. Because if this is the exalted hero, which I assume this is, because this is literally the exalted hero tabletop mini, like just one for one. So like how Tzeentch had a heavily mutated exalted hero, Slaanesh has a super fucking mutated exalted hero. Obviously he'll probably share a good amount of design with Dechala, though he only has 4 arms instead of 6. But I'm curious if he's gonna have a mount. Because, like, how would this work with, like... I mean, he could just, I guess, wrap around it. But, like, how is this going to work with, like, a horse, chariot, and hopefully we get the demonic steed of Slaanesh. Or the... I don't know if they're going to call it a demonic steed or a greater steed. But I'm very much hoping that he still gets to mount. Unless they're making him into a unit. I mean, they could make him, like, a unit of guys. But these, considering there's 3 of them shown next to each other with like little variants, I kind of feel like this is supposed to be the unit. Plus he called him a champion of Slaanesh, which like he's literally the exalted champion. So I'm assuming this is the generic hero choice because we know it's going to be an exalted champion of Slaanesh, and then the chaos sorcerer lord of Slaanesh is going to be the lord. But
also
yeah,
many hands,
interesting,
but not as many as she has. The champions of Slaanesh are known to be one of the most fiercest chosen warriors for Slaanesh that deal a lot of damage and destruction, much similar to Dechala, but not in the same scale, of course. They have multiple hands, each hand armed with a weapon, a sword, and
they look
will
so
circle
good
around the battlefield in support and deal a ton of damage wherever they go.
Yeah,
so
I'm
another unit that
assuming
we're
that's the
planning to
generic hero.
introduce are the Pleasure Seekers. They're a demonic cavalry, which present a demonesh
Pleasure
on a demonic
Seekers.
steed. The demonic
Okay,
steed
demonic
will
steed.
provide the necessary
boob
speed and
snake!
additional power
Titty
that the demonettes
snake!
don't.
Yeah, titty snake! I shouldn't be shouting that, but like, yeah, yeah, snitties! We're getting the snitties! Oh my god, I'm so excited for snitties. Oh, snitties. Pleasure seekers. I have mixed feelings about pleasure seekers. Cause like, obvious. I'll talk about it more in a little bit. I'm not gonna talk about it right now. I'll talk about it more in a little bit.
Quite have right now, so they're gonna be incredibly punchy in battle, going into encounters.
Look at those goofy ass like Yoshi mouths.
Dealing a lot of damage in their wake. And,
what that mouth do though?
Moving into different places
awesome.
Efficiently.
I'm very excited for the demonic steed.
Flanking, they're gonna be efficient in charges. They're gonna be an all-rounder, quick unit for people to enjoy. We're still not quite there with the implementation, as this video is recorded early, but we're expecting to see them in their full glory quite soon.
We'll talk more about
what more can you tell us
this at the end
about Dechala's faction and the
Tormentors?
associated faction mechanics?
So we've tried to be faithful to what Dechala is and represent her as such in the game, and she is the leader of one of the most fiercest warbands under Slaaneshi's followers. And that's the Tormentors. The Tormentors roam around the world and
leave
destruction in their wake, in their search for excess, in their search for the better life for themselves, and that applies the most to Dechala. She wants the best pleasures and feelings for herself. She wants the best experience for
hopefully
for her
she'll
own
be
life.
going after Samael.
And for that reason, she uses her powers to dominate the opponents around her and to dominate the enemies that she manages to defeat.
Okay, so big domination focus.
These
literal dummy
enemies help the Tormentors and the Dechala live their opulent lives that they've used to, and we're going to try to reproduce exactly this in terms of the destruction that she causes.
I'm so excited for Dechala, dude.
That she applies to settlements around the world, and how she uses
the most famous chaos elf in all of Warhammer.
In regards to Slaanesh as a race, what more are we going to expect to see in the kind of free race rework? Is there anything that's coming in that's going to play into this?
So I'll be honest in this question, and we have to be cautious of how we approach it, as we've discussed many things about Slaanesh. Currently, Nakari is the only available legendary lord for Slaanesh,
right?
And we want to distinct him from the other lords that we're going to add with the DLC.
Okay.
And with that distinction, we're looking into the content of Slaanesh as it exists right now, tailored a bit more towards what Nakari presents in comparison to, let's say, Dechala. So we're looking into tweaking and modifying things for Slaanesh, like technology trees, skills, and things like that.
Okay.
But beyond this, it's early in development to promise anything, and I don't want to mislead anyone. And for that reason, I'll be more broad and say that we're looking into everything Slaanesh and try to achieve the best result for Dechala and Kari and the mystery legendary lord that we've not yet revealed.
Hey! Okay, so the free LC legendary lord is Slaanesh, which means I will bet you all the money in the universe it's the mask. It's gonna be the mask. That's excellent. Okay, so far, my predictions are pretty on. Like, pretty on. I've gotten one thing wrong, which I'll talk about at the end here. But okay, so we're getting Dechala and the mask, I feel pretty confident saying. I bet Steercar will be the legendary hero, because we see we're getting the demonic steeds, so he would make a super easy legendary hero, like barely an inconvenience. So we're gonna have exactly what I wanted, which is our mortal character with Dechala, our greater demon with Nakari, and our lesser demon with the mask, which is perfect. That is perfect.
Talking, of course, about Enkari and Dechala,
I still got it,
baby. Both of them have these strong overtones of they defeat their enemies, and then in some way their enemy is then made their puppet or under their control. But
yeah, how
what
are they
is the
gonna
key difference between the two approaches?
How will
when
they
you're playing
differentiate
Ninkari
that?
versus when you're playing Dechala?
Good question.
That's actually a pretty good question. It's very much on point. They both indeed control their enemies in some form or fashion, although the difference here comes from where Nkari uses seduction. He uses his demonic influence
The
in order
arch
to
tempter.
appeal to his victims. Dechala is a bit more forceful. She dominates her victims with the help of an elixir of sorts.
Oh, they mentioned the elixir of damnation. Ooh, that elixir is super like it's very like because it's made from sacrificial blood, warpstone, and Decala's secretions. And no, it's not this secretions. It's the more not safe for work ones, which is like holy shit. Like oh my god, okay, Decala's hardcore. But I'm curious for the Dechala section. Someone should go back and let me know how many times they say dominate or dom, like how many times they say that in reference to her. She's literally the dummy mommy character. Like that seems to be her motif.
And we are going to represent that in her faction mechanic, as she's going to be using more forceful methods in order to use the people that she manages to enthrall.
Using people,
and rather than Nkari's softer, I guess, quotes unquote, methods that can be compared with.
Nice.
Good
question.
I am super interested to see how that's going to work in game. Like, I'm very, very excited. I love the idea of making Nkari a genuine tempter, where Nkari's using his demonic influence, his whispers, the fact that he is a keeper of secrets. He knows all of your secrets the moment you meet him. He knows all of your desires, all of your wishes. He knows everything. So many people think that the Lords of Change are like all-knowing. No, no, no. The Keepers of Secrets are way scarier because they know everything about you. So I'm really excited to see how they're going to portray Nkari more as this an Allurus almost, you know, this almost more lustful take on Slaanesh's antics, whereas with Dechala we have the force and the vainglory and the pride. So that's gonna be really, really cool. And the mask, I mean, I feel like the mask will be much easier because the mask doesn't have nearly as much overlap with those two, because you're dealing with more of like an exiled demon, who, you know, an exiled herald who's more about a very physical aspect of Slaanesh in the forms of like dance, music, and the arts. And then Slaanesh, we have our lust and temptation, and with Dechala, we have our seekers of pleasure that are taking whatever they want and are very dominating, brutal forces, which is really exciting.
I'm gonna have to rein you in a bit. You're gonna steal my job. Awesome. Thank you, Vasil, for all that information.
Someone make sure Will's still alive. Someone needs to make sure that Steve doesn't slash the brakes on Will's
so there you
car.
have it, the first of your 3 new legendary lords coming.
Oh, is that
in
it?
Total War Warhammer 3 DLC.
I mean, that's a good amount. Was that it?
We will be shining a light on the others in the future, so keep an eye out for more information.
Okay.
Do let us know who you think they could be
I want
in
more.
the comments, or head over to the CA community or Total War
Sea
Discord.
Lord
get
Island,
involved in the
Moon
discussion. And yeah, we'll see.
Sea Lord Island, Moon of Minute. It's probably Sail the Faithless.
Right? You're gonna have to wait and find out.
It's probably Sail the Faithless. But Moon
so
of
thank
come
you
on,
to
Moon of
Will, Vasil, and Radislav for joining us today. It's been really good to talk to you. We'll be back in the near future. Until then, see you later.
Near future cannot be near enough, dude. All right. So, overall thoughts. Good. Excellent. I love these. I love the fact that I'll make sure to leave a comment about this as well. I really love the fact that they bring on somebody different every time. Like, well, pretty much every time they bring in different devs to showcase different aspects of the game. You know, we've had people talk about sound and audio. We've had people talk about like visual direction. We've had people talk about campaign. We've had the DLC team. We're getting the Sophia team. I love that they're bringing on so many different faces to let us see these people talk about the things they're working on and making, and allowing us to kind of get a little bit, you know, behind the scenes. It's fantastic. It's great. It makes me really, really happy. It makes me really happy. So as far as the reveals, Dechala, I'm over the moon. She looks fantastic. I cannot wait to see her in motion. Having 6 fucking arms to fight with sounds crazy. So that is a lot of limbs. But I am very, very excited for that. The exalted champion looks just mwah. Exalted hero, exalted champion, whatever you want to call him. He looks fantastic. I think that's the hero. I don't think that's a unit. I think that's the generic hero. But I'm not 100% sure. It could be that it's like a group of those guys. Because once again, I love his design, but it's like, it's going to be a little weird if he can't be standardized. So like, can't ride a horse or a chariot or a demonic steed, as they're calling it, of Slaanesh. But they could just put him up there and he just like, I don't know, like wraps around it. He could just be uniquely designed to ride on mounts, which would be also fine. But it's so I'm curious about that. I'm gonna ask them about it and see if I can get some clarification. I doubt it, but I'll ask. Because it's kind of like how, if memory serves, when they initially were gonna when they did the greenskin stuff, if I recall correctly, they originally were not. Well, no, never mind. That's not the same situation. But I look forward to more clarification on that. But the pleasure seekers. So that's the one thing I was wrong about, and I knew they were gonna do it. Like it was like the most obvious thing to do, because it was the only actual Slaanesh unit from the Storm of Chaos book that they hadn't done yet, was the pleasure seekers. I was personally hoping they wouldn't, because we know they're going to do the knights, right? The mortal knights riding on pleasure seekers, because they want to keep it consistent, right? And if you play, unless I'm insane, no, I know this is right. When you play Warriors of Chaos or any of the Chaos factions right now, you go, oh, my Nurgle Chaos Knights upgrade into Rot Knights. My Zinj Chaos Knights upgrade into Doom Knights, and my Khorne Chaos Knights upgrade into Skull Crushers. So like there's a system in place that they have to keep consistent. It has to be maintained. So that means there needs to be a mortal unit that rides on the demonic steeds of Slaanesh, because you need that Slaanesh slot to keep it consistent. So that makes me feel really confident saying that. So what we know, with a little bit of fudging, like I feel really confident about this. I feel really confident we're looking at Dechala. Well, so we know for a fact Dechala, the Denied Legendary Lord, the Exalted Hero of Slaanesh, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Slaanesh. Now, what we don't know for sure, but I think is true, is that the champion they showed us is the Exalted Hero. But that might not be the case. But I think it's the case. And that we are getting the Mask as the secondary Legendary Lord. Once again, I feel really confident about that, but it's not guaranteed. It could be Steercar. I don't think it will be. I think Steercar would make way more sense as a Legendary Hero, because he could actually join like a bunch of different factions, not just Slaanesh. He could be Slaanesh and Warriors of Chaos. Whereas the Mask would be only Slaanesh. And plus the Mask would be like actually much more interesting and unique compared to Steercar, who would just kind of be like, he would be very similar to Dechala in a lot of ways. But anyway, so I feel pretty confident saying it's Dechala Legendary Lord, Steercar Legendary Hero, the Mask is the free LC Lord, because they have confirmed in this that the free LC Lord is for Slaanesh. Then the Exalted Hero is that serpent guy we just saw. Then we've got the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Slaanesh for our generic characters. And then we know we're getting Pleasure Seekers. From there, we know for a fact we're getting Slongors. And then from there, I feel very confident for saying that we know that we're getting Mortal Knights of Slaanesh on Demonic Steed. So that takes up 3 of the slots. We only have 2 slots left, which is not a lot. That is not a lot. So, because the champion, he had human ears, right? I don't think he had pointed ears. Because I think it's just he's just the human.
Champions of Slaanesh are known to be Dechala. He
Well,
is a snake-like creature with also many hands.
he has pointed ears. Like, so this original model is a human. The original model is a mutated human. Now, it could just be that his mutation is that he has pointed ears. Especially because the outfit he's wearing is much more human compared to, like, elf. Like, he doesn't look like an elf, but he could be an elf. Because one of the units that I was really hoping to get were the Druki Anointed, or the Anointed of Slaanesh, or whatever the hell they're called, which they're kind of like Dechala. So they're like insanely powerful elves that are not as mutated. They're significantly less mutated than Dechala is, but they're elves that have completely given themselves over to Slaanesh. And you could take them as characters in the Pleasure Seeker cult, which was Marathi's unique faction, or the Cult of Pleasure. And my hope was that they would be like kind of the equivalent of Aspiring Champions or Wrathmongers, where they would be like a super hardcore elite unit of champions that would run around kicking the shit out of people. This could be that. They have pointed ears, so hypothetically, these could just be like, they could have taken the Exalted Hero of Slaanesh and been like, okay, we need a design, and we want it to be similar to Dechala. So it could be that this is a unit of these guys, and they're elves, and they're essentially the Anointed, but they're called Champions of Slaanesh, which would be a really boring name. That would be a really weak name. I really hope they would not call a unit Champions of Slaanesh instead of like Anointed or something that sounds more grandiose. Champion would be very, very not extra. Which, you know, if you're gonna do Slaanesh,
We'll be back in the near future.
it's gotta be extra.
See you later.
I didn't realize Scarbrand apparently interrupts the broadcast, but we'll deal with that in a second. So anyway, so my hope for the last 2 slots, right? My hope for the last 2 unit slots, because we've got Slangors, Pleasure Seekers, Mortals on Greater Steed, or Demonic Seeds of Slaanesh. My big hope for the last 2 slots would be the Basilisk and the Druchi Anointed. So like the elite infantry squad. That's my hope. Man, I really hope we're getting the Basilisk. Because I just don't know what other monster it could be. Like, I guess you could do the Dreadmaw, but I don't think Games Workshop would want them to do that. Because the Dreadmaw is supposed to be a Koresh monster now. Which, like, I'm going to be doing a video on it either tomorrow or the day after, of, like, talking about the Cathay reveals, because Games Workshop is being very open about going to the Far East, and going to Grand Cathay. They talked about the Blood Naga a little bit, literally just a mention, but that's still huge, that they're like, the Blood Naga are still relevant. They're still a thing that's happening. And I'm feeling more and more confident about the things I've heard about GW going to the Far East as like a major theater for the old world. So I don't think they would want the Dreadmaw to be used for Slaanesh, because it's supposed to be a Koreshi monster now. So, and I just think the Basilisk is the most Slaanesh monster we have left. Especially the Forge World version, which is not like the Cockatrice, where it doesn't have a petrifying gaze. It has a Gaze of Malice or some shit like that, which is completely different. And it's all about like poison and like lots of debuffs and all this stuff, which Slaanesh fucking loves poison. Slaanesh is all about that poison. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But my hands on the table Slaanesh prediction is based on what we know here. And I don't think I might do a follow-up video. I'll probably do a follow-up live stream. But like Dechala, the Mask, Legendary Lords, Steercar Legendary Hero, Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Slaanesh, and Exalted Hero of Slaanesh as the generic characters, and then Pleasure Seekers of Slaanesh, Slongors, Mortal Knights of Slaanesh on Demonic Steed, Basilisk, and Druki Anointed / Dark Elf / whatever the hell those guys are. They have a couple different names. So that is my locked in. But I feel pretty good about my predictions so far. I'm feeling pretty good. So anyway, please let me know what y'all think down below of everything that was talked about in this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the AI beta if you participate in that. I'd love to hear how you feel about Dechala. I know there was like a big faction of people that wanted Steercar to be the DLC Lord, and like, no. Just no. I am very glad that particular situation is not what we got. I would have been so sad if they did Steercar over Dechala. Like, that would have been so lame. I'm really glad that's not the case. Steercar is Legendary Hero material. He is not Legendary Lord material. But in any event, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. And yeah, please let me know all your thoughts. I am beyond excited. Oh, also let me know who you want the other factions to be. I am still working. It'll be out soon. But I am still working on the Norska Part 2 Electric Boogaloo, where the Norska video I did, I stayed purely focused on like monsters and like creatures. But I promised y'all that I would do a mortal version as well, where it's all humans. There's no creatures. It's pure humans. And I am working on that right now. But let me know who you want the other two factions to be. Do you want Hyles and Norska? Do you want Tomb Kings? Do you want Vampire Coast? Do you want Cathay? Do you want... who else is there really at this point that would be, like, actually interesting? Dark Elves? Do you want Lizardmen? Let me know down below. I am very, very interested to hear all your thoughts on this one. So, yeah, that's it for me. And I'll see you guys soon. Let's see what the hell that Scarbrand thing was.
Bye. Everyone wave.
Okay.
Please wave. Please wave. Steve's great. I love Steve. All right. I'll see you guys later.